Hello and welcome to the Business for Superheroes show. My name is Vicky Fraser and this is Misty.
Sorry.
And I did say like 30 seconds ago, I'm going to try and do this without laughing. And now
Oh my God. It's because you said it and now I'm laughing. Okay, I'm ready.
Hi, Misty. Thank you very much for coming on the show. How are you doing?
You're very welcome. I'm very good, thank you. Very good.
Good. This week I am interviewing Misty because in not 72 days, we are holding the next Breaking Bread Mastermind in San Diego, California, which is very exciting.
Yes. It will be in about 37 days-ish,
Really?
give or take. Well, okay, maybe 40. I'm not very good at math because I'm a writer. So it's going to be between 30 and 50 days away. Yeah.
It's on November the 2nd, Friday, November the 2nd to Monday, November the 5th. Yes. And that's basically what we're going to be talking to you about today. We're going to be talking about the power of a mastermind. Off you go, Mandy.
Oh, okay. So, well, I think, honestly, and I'm a bit biased because I run masterminds, but I think masterminding is one of the best ways. And it's not about information. It's not about getting information. I'm not going to go down that road because everyone's like, oh, you can learn so much at masterminds. Well, you can't learn that much at masterminds, to be perfectly honest with you, because a lot of masterminds pile the information in too much and you just end up leaving there completely exhausted. So the power of masterminds, the way we do it, leaves you with a very specific action plan and also lifelong relationships. And business contacts and referrals and resources that you'll have forever and a day. So I think the power of masterminding is not in trying to wow the audience with, keynote speakers and just 8 presentations every hour. It's more about getting to the grassroots issues in each of the business, like really digging down in the business, which is what I think. I've been to masterminds where I've come away feeling just exhausted. And, I remember the people that were there, but not necessarily the information. And I've been to some masterminds where I'm like, you know what? I actually learned something. But they were usually the shorter, more intimate ones. So intimate masterminding.
Yeah, and that's what we wanted to do because we've both been to both types of mastermind. And I've been to some really good ones where they kind of throw information at you. And if you can write enough notes and stuff, there's useful stuff. And
if you read those notes ever, which I don't, so...
Yes. And, those ones definitely have their place. But I think when we started this, we wanted to do something a little bit different, didn't we? A little bit more intimate. Just a little bit, different.
Well, the first ever mastermind that we did was in my farmhouse in Toronto in the middle of January, which was probably in the region of -30. Yes. And the team building event was ice skating on the pond that had formed outside my front door. So we really started this off just saying, fuck it, I just want to do this thing and let's see what happens. And then we've managed to grow it from there. So, and it's getting a little bit more, it's gaining momentum as they say. But for the listeners, I think the biggest problem, or maybe one of the biggest stopping blocks or obstacles for people, is ponying up the money, right? Like everyone's like, you got to go to these masterminds, you got to travel, you got to do all this shit. But a lot of times people are like, yeah, that's great, but I don't have any fucking money. So how am I going to travel all around when I've got no money to do this? And they do say, well, you go to these masterminds, you're going to make more money after the mastermind than you will before, which is true. But if you don't have the money to get there, then you're it's a catch-22, right? Yeah. So that was one of the big things that I wanted to do, was help people, but not at this, high cost, high ticket, value, high ticket cost mastermind. I didn't want to do any of that. Right. So we just decided to make it available to everybody. That doesn't mean the teaching shit or there's no value, but I want to make it accessible for everyone because I know that everyone's going to do really well after.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's one of the differences.
Yeah. We don't want people to have to shell out like $5,000.
No.
Plus travel expenses and stuff, because there are those masterminds out there, and if you put into them what you put into, if you put in a lot of work to them, then you will get really good value out of them. But we wanted to do something that was much more accessible to people who, like you say, who don't have that kind of money lying around.
Yeah. I think sometimes you pay that kind of money. I mean, I know I certainly have in the past, to have certain status and certain connections and have access to, like the Dan Kennedys of the world, right?
Yeah.
but you don't get anyone looking at your business individually in those, right? Because there's just too many people. So on the other end of the spectrum, it's okay. Well, we probably won't have Dan Kennedy at our Breaking Bread Mastermind, but your business will be ripped apart and put back together again by people who have been in the business over a decade. And that's really valuable. So there's a place for the high value or the high ticket masterminds with the Dan Kennedys of the world. And then there's a place for this. And even our own breadheads tell us that this was worth more to them than paying 10 times more and going to Vegas and having their mastermind at the Aria or whatever. Right? Yeah. So, yeah.
And the other thing that people have said about it is that it is like, it's just the atmosphere was just really lovely. And, you know, you've got Berto and Joe who have developed this lifelong bromance, which is just the thing in the world.
They're the pit crew. That's our pit crew. They're our partners, and that's the pit crew. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you've ever seen RuPaul's Drag Race and you've seen RuPaul's pit crew, that's Berto and Joe, and they do wander around in the tiny pants. I'm saying that in a kind of maybe that will prophecy and maybe that will happen.
Maybe they will walk around in tiny pants. Be very, very inappropriate. It's gonna be perfect.
Yes. But like, so I just kind of wanted to take people through what happened. I mean, what my favorite part of the inaugural Canada Breaking Bread Mastermind at your farmhouse was the wine and random singing in the evening.
Oh yes, that we did have a jam session in the evening, and even though, you know, not everyone can play, and that was fine. And I just think that it was one of those things that your brain works in very different ways, right? So on a day-to-day basis, you're using all of your, you know, your smart brain bits, right? The bit that helps you write, and the bit of your brain that helps you talk, and the bit of the help that focuses on growth and success. But you never really get a chance to use the other side of your brain, which is the brain of creation, right? Like you think you're using it in business, but not really, not in the musical sense. And music has the ability to spark a lot more creativity than than anything else, I believe, right? So if we can get people in a musical situation, or even playing, right, which you played, and we got the drum out, the cajon drum, that creates so much more productivity, because it just sparks different angles of your brain, right, different areas of brain. I think music's very important, personally, and not just a concert, but like intimate musical setting. What we did like an open mic.
It was just a bunch of people sitting around and drinking wine and joining in songs that we knew or didn't know and kind of making stuff up. And the other thing I really like about music is that writing should be like music. Good writing should have a rhythm to it, and it should have that kind of that beat and that poetry behind it. And so if you listen to music and you make music, then it can help you with your actual copywriting as well. Obviously, we're both copywriters, so there's a big. I
think one of the biggest things that I teach people, especially in bullet point writing, sales bullet points, is the rhythm of a bullet point. And it sounds really weird, but if you don't have that rhythm, it sounds really stilted, and then the reader or your potential lead just doesn't get it. It's nothing that you've written, like it's not the words, or it's not the things that you've written, it's the rhythm that you put out there. And it just kind of like, it doesn't flow, and the reader will kind of lose their way if you've got to kind of sing them all the way to the bank.
Yeah. Nice. Sing them all the way to the bank.
Sing them all the way to the bank. Well, I mean, look at Dr. Seuss. He was very rich, and and he did a lot of singing and rhyming. So I think it's a good thing.
He did, Green eggs and ham. And I was never a Dr. Seuss child. Joe was.
I know. It's popular in England as it is over here.
Well, no, Joe's family were massively into Dr. Seuss, and he always had a Cat in the Hat T-shirt. So I've now got a load of books because his sister sent me a load of books, and I was like, oh, you need to read Dr. Seuss. And honestly, if you want to become a better writer, this is like no kidding, read Dr. Seuss.
One of the first podcasts I did, no, it wasn't a podcast, it was a teaching session in a copywriting group back in the day, and I think I read Green Eggs and Ham.
You did, I remember.
Remember that? And I read Green Eggs and Ham, and no one really got it. No one was at that point, no one really understood what I was trying to get across. And I kept saying, you need a rhythm, just like Green Eggs and Ham. It doesn't have to sound like it. But then like a few weeks later, one of the greats, I forget who it was now, also reiterated this rhythm and rhyming, or not really rhyming, but this rhythm and this cadence. And then everyone all of a sudden was like, oh yeah, you have to have cadence when you write things. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You all thought I had two fucking heads, but I didn't. I was very clever and you just didn't get it yet. So yes, there has to be a cadence to it. So that's very important. And yeah, like doing things like, you know, pushing yourself into a bit of an open mic situation and maybe playing the cajon drum or whatever it is will give you that natural instinct to have that cadence when you write or create lyrics or whatever it is that you want to do. We all are musical, whether we think we are or not. It's just, you have to be given the setting to pull it out of you.
Yeah. A safe space, if you like, to be able to sit down and make a little bit of a fool of yourself.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people are super scared of making a fool of themselves. I know I was. And Birdo, Pit Crew Birdo, he does open mic sessions all the time. And first time he ever did it, his knees were shaking. And the first time I ever did it, I got really drunk and just sang, and I probably did it all wrong because I can't really remember. But I did it, and now it's done. And now I feel very brave, and I can do it again. And so it's all about breaking down fears and barriers.
It is, and that's one of the things that we will do with you, dear listener, if you come to Breaking Bread San Diego. We won't necessarily put you in front of a room full of people and make you sing. Don't panic about that. But yeah, there is going to be a certain amount of breaking down of barriers and getting you to do stuff that you might not be entirely comfortable with. And
I think a lot of it comes from, between Vicky and I, we come from a very good place, and that's very different than a lot of people that I know in the industry. Now, the industry is a bit of a shit show, and there's not too many genuine folk left. But Vicky and I got together in our relationship. Make of that what you will. We got together because, or I think we just were a bit more kindred spirits in the fact that we really do want to make a difference with these people, right? Like we do really want to make a difference. That's why we're not going to charge $1 million for you to come and spend a weekend, you know, getting your business analyzed and your next plan sorted out. We're not going to, you know, go to the fucking fanciest of restaurants and, you know, like it's just about getting together. And this is a very different experience than I think most people are aware that it's going to be. But once they've been and done, they'll be like, oh yeah, that was really good. So I think it's very different, and I think people need to, I think a lot of the original breadheads were a little bit, you know, nervous about what they're getting themselves into, but once they'd been, they couldn't believe. I mean, just read the testimonials on the website and you'll see it's just been amazing.
Yeah, it was really cool having, like you say, there's not going to be fancy restaurants or anything like that, but what there will be is kind of cooking home cooked meals and just sitting down and drinking wine or whatever you want to drink, and you know, it's not compulsory wine, and just eating together. And there's a lot of power because the ideas that came out of the meals that we had were at least as good, if not better, than the ones that, you know, came out of the hot seats and the group discussions in the actual work time.
Yeah, I think because, you know, the way the masterminds run is that we have teaching sessions and we also have hot seats, and the hot seats are individual and everyone gets, and it's not like, you know, in my mastermind, it's a 12-minute hot seat. It's nothing like that. It's not like Fast and Furious here. The hot seats are well thought out. They're intricate and they last, you know, at least a half an hour, 45 minutes. So we get to have a look at your business from the inside out. So, and a lot of that hot seat can be very overwhelming to take in all that information. But as you digest it, when you have your dinner and you're digesting your dinner, you're digesting your hot seat, it all kind of starts to make sense. And then other people chime in because you're sitting next to someone who had their hot seat, and then you start to talk about your hot seats and they offer information that you maybe forgot about or didn't get, or they help the information click, and then you will do the same with them. And it's not like you're forced to do any of this. It's just the natural flow of a conversation when you put a bunch of very clever people around a table and you have dinner and wine and whatever it is, right? And I think that's one of the aspects that many masterminds are missing. You do your thing and then you leave to your hotel room and then that's it. There's none of this cohesive bonding or anything like that, which is why we only invite 8 people at a time, right?
Yeah.
So, and as of today, we're probably down to about 4 spots left.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we accidentally oversold the UK one, but actually it worked out fine. But we thought, that's an absolute maximum.
Yeah. Maximum.
Yeah, but I mean, we totally encourage people to record their own hot seats, but the other thing that people don't realize is you will get at least as much out of other people's hot seats as you will out of your own. And that's what all of the breadheads said last time, was like, oh my god, listening to other people's hot seats, and I got all of these ideas that I wouldn't have got if I was just focusing on my business. Because you look at other industries outside of what you're doing, and there's all of these different ideas and different opportunities, and so that'll all come out of it as well.
Because I have the absolute inability to stay to think in a straight line. If I'm talking to, say, like Julia, and then we're discussing, one part of her business, in my brain, something clicks, and then I'll remember a conversation that I had with Mike, and I'm like, oh, and Mike, this will apply to you too, because I can't, you know what I mean? Like when you've only got 8 people, you tend to get to know people's business and pain and solutions really, really well. So while I'm talking to Julia and fixing, one part of her copywriting or whatever it is, the same will apply to Mike, or maybe the same will apply to Alex. And that's how this works, because there's so few people, you can bounce ideas off like all day long, and it's intense. Like it's a lot of information, right? Yeah. And I mean, Alex went away with a whole new business, right? Yeah. So that's the power. So did Catherine. Yeah, exactly, right? So they've done, I mean, they do amazing things, right? Just given that opportunity.
Yeah, and that's it, because it's kind of all the work is done by them ultimately. But it's you come to something like this, and you have 2 people who, like you said, we don't think in straight lines. We are totally incapable of, we come up with the most ridiculous ideas, but they're not ridiculous because they spark off other things that genuinely people will take and go, oh my God, I never really thought of that. And then you've got all of the other people in the room as well who've all got their input, because it's not just the Vicky and Misty show. It's it's that whole group of minds that you put together that is just a very powerful thing, and it's really good fun. It really is
good fun. Yeah, no, it really is a lot of fun. And I think that's when you're working at that level of intensity and thinking that hard, you need to offset it with the fun parts. I mean, we've done things from the ice skating to, we watched Eurovision Song Contest last time and made our Eurovision Song Contest hats. And we've done, Catherine and her husband bought a wine tasting night to the house.
Yeah.
And we did that one.
Homemade wine.
Homemade wine tasting. You can all imagine how that went the next day. And it was, I mean, this is the thing. It's not scripted, and that's probably some of the best parts of, this is why it's called breaking bread, because it's not, we just sit around and we break bread, and it's not scripted, it's not scheduled out the ass end, right? So it's good fun.
And we also get to know each other very intimately. What was that bloody game?
Well, that game is called Preferences, and that if you don't know what Preferences is, you
come along to San Diego and you'll find out.
Come along to San Diego and find out. If you happen to be at the Titans Mastermind, or if your name happens to be Molly Pearson and you're listening to this, you'll know all about Preferences. But it's definitely a way to get to know your fellow man.
Yes. And if you have a Gemma in your group, then you'll get to know all manner of things that you never thought you needed to know, and really maybe would have preferred not to.
Maybe you did prefer to. Who knows?
Maybe you did prefer to. Yeah. Who's to say? That is how our masterminds go. That is. Well, I'm very excited about San Diego, partly because I have never been to California.
I love San Diego. I love California. I love California in general. But yeah, I think it's going to be, if you have never been to America, or if you've never traveled to, that far, into the States, California is probably one of my favorite states. And I'm not trying to diss any of the other states, because I have lived in many over my years. But California just has the vibe. It has the wine, it has the vibe. It's a cool place to visit. So I definitely recommend it if you've never been to San Diego. And I've been many times, so I do know my way around, and I do know the wineries, and I do know how to get and do things there.
I love that. When Misty says she knows the way around, what she means is she knows where all the wineries are.
You know where all the wineries are. That's what else you're gonna do. What are you gonna do? Like sightsee? Like look at the sunsets? No. What else you do? But yes, I do know my way over to the wineries and back home even. And so I think it'd be a great opportunity if you've never been and you've been thinking about going. It's nice because you're going to have obviously all the business aspect of it, but if you're coming with someone, you've got that, you've got a chance.
It's a bit of a holiday.
Yeah, and we've booked a really nice place. It's a really beautiful location as well. So you'll be
on the beachfront.
Yeah, you'll be well taken. There'll be lots of sunsets if that's your thing. It's my thing, but wine is first.
Yeah, wine and sunsets. It's like
wine. Oh, and some business and helping people.
Yeah,
it's gonna be great. It's gonna be a great weekend. So As of today, we've probably got about 4 seats left. So heads up, because if you're thinking about this, then you might want to act quickly. It is probably, what did I say, 30, 40. It's about 45 days away at this point. So you might want to jump and Google some flights and see if you can make it.
And if you are in the UK and you're worried about flight costs, it is less than you would think. And if you are thinking that you would like to come and do it and you're not sure how much, the flight's going to add on top of it, look up Jack's Flight Club. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but he's just this dude who was like this Uber traveler and figured out how to get the cheapest flights everywhere. And now he does that for other people. And so just the other day, I got an alert through that said, go to Goa for £350. And normally the price to Goa is like in the 600s or 700s. So if you're looking, there are cheap flights to be had, basically. And come get a bit of sunshine in November.
Oh my God. And in November, we will also reveal our, how do I put it? It's like a volunteer / business event that's taking place in hopefully Costa Rica. So we will reveal more about that, because as I said, we're not here to, take all your money and then see you later. We actually have a vested interest in each and every breadhead. And we have, I personally, I know Vicky does as well, I personally value volunteering highly. And so we have some more humanitarian events coming up as well, because we're going to be the mastermind that makes a difference. Yes. So mark my words. So we'll reveal some more about that as well.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. Joe and I had a honeymoon in Costa Rica and I've been banging on about it, and turtles and stuff. So yeah,
lots of turtling and things like that. I think the volunteer aspect of I think everyone should volunteer at some time in their life, if not constantly. So I think that's going to be an important part of, important part of what we do in the future as well. Giving back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I feel very Richard Branson right now.
Good. Yeah. So yeah, that's Breaking Bread in a nutshell, really. We're very excited about it. There's maybe 4 spaces left, so if you are thinking that you want to come along, really don't leave it. That's not just us kind of being fixed guesty. That's like, we're really
and we oversold the last one, and we're not going to do it again, because we oversold the last one thinking it'll be fine, and it was fine when everything was good, and luckily we had enough beds and rooms for everyone, but we're not going to do it again because it was stressful.
It was about the limit of what we could personally cope with.
yeah, I think that's topped it out. So we're not going to oversell this one. Absolutely not. So it is going to be limited. So
also
real scarcity.
Yeah, actual real scarcity. So yeah, if you want in on this, if you want to come to San Diego in November, go to breakingbreadmastermind.com, have a look through, read through all of the testimonials, watch the videos, and then click through to the sales page and book your damn place.
Yeah, do it, and do it quick, because I can promise you this will sell out. They always do. So yeah,
they always do. Right then, I think that's that. Thanks very much for rambling on with me, Misty.
I love to ramble on. It's my favorite.
Always a pleasure. And Joe and I will be back same time next week, probably from France, because that's where we're going on holiday. But in the meantime, book your San Diego place, breakingbreadmastermind.com, and we will hopefully see you in sunny California. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Like what you've just heard? Tell your colleagues, tell your friends, send them to www.businessforsuperheroes.com/podcast.